All right, hey everybody, Dan here, and we just closed on a really not just an ugly day, but a fugly day. I mean, this is the QLD. I just bought some of these right into the close. I'm now a penny up. Bought them at 90.99. Now they're at 91. Yeah, I got to change that actually. I think I'm actually down a bit. So that's where I bought them. And now, yeah, my gosh, I'm down 15 cents. So the way I look at this, and I want to get to TGTX in just a second, but this is the way I'm looking at the market. This was a big, nasty sell-off. Volume, let's go to the QQQs as opposed to the QLDs. Yeah, volume was pretty heavy here. If we look at the VIX is pretty high. We'll compare it to the S&P. And last time the VIX was this high, you can see we got we kind of marked the bottom. And one of the things that I've seen is that on the day that the VIX ultimately makes a high, and we don't know that until the next day, obviously, but on the day that the VIX makes a high, it's the next day. When the VIX pulls back, it's actually the next day that you get a bottom, a low, and then you get a nice move higher. Now, one thing I told people today in our weekly webinar, it went on for quite a while, was that like in this case, we get these zigzags lower. So it's not like this marked this massive low to where we can just expect the VIX or I mean the indexes to take off. That's just not what happens. It happened here when the VIX absolutely got like ran up to 65, and this was in a day. So this was a big, massive move here that marked a tradable bottom, the likes of which you typically don't see very often. So we're really not there yet. However, I do look at this kind of move, and if we see any kind of pullback tomorrow in the VIX, I think you're going to see a nice move higher in these. I'm just tracking the NASDAQ and the S&P, so you can look at the QQQs or the QLDs if you got a little flavor for more action, or the SPYs for the S&P 500. So I took just a small position into the close. Frankly, because I don't view the risk of further downside tomorrow as that great. It could happen, which is why I just took a small kind of a starter position. But and what I see, what I can envision, I should say, with any kind of gap down is that we're not just going to keep going. Like any gap down would, I think, be viewed by traders as, okay, this is the last of the puking from folks who didn't sell yesterday and they're freaking out. And so they sell first time in the morning. And so then the market starts moving higher. If that turns out to be the case, then what I'm going to do is I'm just letting you know my game plan. I will be looking at the 5-minute chart. And then when or if I see an open bar where the high is greater than the low on a 5-minute chart, I would add to that position, and I would keep a stop just slightly below. In other words, I would add to that position, and then, oh, what's the stock have to do, or what's the chart have to do in order to prove me wrong? Well, it has to go to a new low. And so I can keep a pretty tight stop on this trade and still allow myself to participate to the upside if we get an upside. And I don't know. The big deal today, it seemed to be, and I almost think this was an excuse to keep selling, was that President Trump over the weekend, in his interview with Maria Bartiromo, said he wouldn't discount a recession. He basically he almost forecasted a recession in saying that, well, there's going to be a transition and all that. And so that's what really, in my view, sparked the sell-off. Because if you look at the way this traded, I mean, this was the close on Friday. So this thing gapped down over a point, almost a point and a half, gap down. And then it just, for the most part, just kept going. It kind of rallied up just slightly and then absolutely got slammed. So the way I look at this is the market's pricing in what Trump just said, which is short term, hey, we could have a tough time. What the market's not pricing in today, and I wouldn't expect it to, this type of stuff happens on headline news. What the market's not yet pricing in is what will and should and is expected to happen in, say, 3 or 4 or 5 months when some of these changes do kick in, and they will. Um, Not going to get political, but the things that the administration is doing now, they will have some benefit. They'll have a lot of benefit, but it ain't going to be tomorrow, and it ain't going to be next week, and it ain't going to be next month either. So at some point when this selling's done, the smart money, which is raising cash right now, I can tell you that for sure. The smart money is going to come in and say, okay, now what's going to happen in the future? And so you're going to get, look, markets always recover, literally always. That's why this was the all-time high. So down markets always recover. The rich guys, I can tell you, are calling their money managers saying, "Hey, man, is it too early to start buying?" They're not saying, "Is it too late to sell?" They're saying, "Is it too early to start buying?" And I don't know whether it is or not, but I absolutely can tell you with 100% certainty, because I know these things, that that is the question that they're asking. They're sitting there waiting for an opportunity to buy. And so we can predict that, but we can't predict it with any kind of a timing mechanism. I mean, if you just look at the S&P, okay, this has fallen off a cliff. Like, this is squirting right out the end of a garden hose from a squeeze that ultimately went the wrong way. I mean, this thing had been squeezing. If you just look at the Bollinger Bands right here at their narrowest, they were only 2.25% wide. So that was a big squeeze, and it was looking for a minute like this was going to resolve to the upside. So now this is down 8.5%. This could easily go down to 5,200. I'm not saying that it will. I kind of don't think it will. I think we're going to kind of fart around in this area for a while. And then what happens after that, I don't know. I'll let you know when it happens. We react, we don't predict. But if you just look at the way this is trading, in my view, frankly, nothing against you and your 401k. I would prefer the sell off continue, because I tend to get a little impatient. It's important to be patient, but I have to fight that. And it's important that you remember that the price, the y axis here, is where you make your money. Price goes up, you make money. Price goes down, you lose money. What people forget is that the x axis is the time, and time is money. And so I would prefer, as quickly as possible, for the S&P to come down and find wherever the heck that support is, so we can start making some money. And so I don't want it to be way, 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 way over here. I'd like to see a V bottom. Do I think we're going to get that again? I kind of don't think so. And if we do, I'll let you know. That's what my job is. All right. Now, the stock that I wanted to cover was and is TG Therapeutics. In our session today, one of our members asked about this, as far as is it a good buy right here because it's a breakout. First thing you got to realize is this is moving up in a market that's moving down. That is such a strong signal. It's just unbelievable. So yeah, in a really, really horrible market where everything's being sold, if a biotech stock is being bought, that's a real good indication that it's likely to go higher. I just kind of drawn this. I think this was just today. Yeah, I just drawn this. I kind of envision the way I can foresee stocks trading, and I kind of look at this as a trade template. And this gives me a sense of if I'm going to take action. I didn't buy any of the stock, I don't own it. But if I were to buy a stock based on what I'm seeing here, then that's my thesis for the trade. Then if the stock does something different like that, well, then I know I'm wrong and I'll get out. And then I'll look for a reentry, or maybe I'll just move on. But until that happens, this is really the way I see the stock trading. So in the next day or two, it'll probably rest a bit. But this is such a powerful move. And this here, guys, is institutional buying. Okay. This was on earnings when they reported earnings. So this is, I believe this was when they reported earnings. I can't say exactly because I didn't look it up. You can fact check me on that. But the big breakout here was 36. So this stock's up from 36. It's up about 10%. It's a little high to chase. If you do decide to take the stock, make sure that you keep a stop. I would put a stop just below today's intraday low. Okay, that's all I got for you. If you've got any questions, if you're a member, go ahead and post them in the forum or the trading room. And if you're not a member, you can just email me at dan@stockmarketmentor.com. I'll see your email there. Okay, I'll see you guys next time. Hope you're doing okay. And I hope you're not panic selling now. The time to be selling was a while ago. This is not that time. All right? See you next time.